As we speak, we just deploy the first benchmark trade lane between Indonesia and India. Combined, they represent 1/4 of the world population. And their main target and what they want to empower, their SMEs. So that's why they are part of it. So I can discuss the fact how important this is to SMEs and talk on them from a high-level perspective, but I'm going to just present the importance of this initiative to the SMEs very simple way, in a very commercial way. Bottom line, I am a pen maker in India, and there is an ink maker in Indonesia that he wanna sell this ink to the pen makers around the world. So the first question is how he can access or directly present his product to every pen maker around the world. And that's the starting point of integration, is to present the product I generate to every pen makers around the world. That's number one. So now, as me being the pen maker, I just saw, and I'm using on purpose the ink and the pen because it's a very detailed issue. So for me being a pen maker, here I am seeing on a platform hundreds of ink makers around the world that they want to sell me their product to produce my pen. Then the question remains how I can make a decision before I start moving it and before I go into the cost. And so the question is, what kind of information I need as a pen maker in order to decide to buy from which one of these 100 ink makers? And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, this is a major question today is been asked around the world, and is simplified by a simple word called conversion ratio. So what is this conversion ratio that allows from seeing things on the net to acquisition, from seeing to acquisition, the conversion, from looking to something to acquire it? Let me give you what is required, which today does not exist, and what we're going to provide to the SMEs. So it's not only to integrate them, but to help them out to be, stronger and better in their business. Number one, I keep using this example of the ink maker and the pen makers. Number one, when I see the ink, I need, because this is B2B, I need to make sure that reliability and dependability of moving the product from the ink maker to the pen maker is to my satisfaction. Why? This is very important for supply chain, because I'm buying from him not like B2C, I'm buying from him on a regular basis. So this, I want to know, can he provide me with inventory on a just-in-time, so I don't have to carry too much inventory, and then it doesn't cost me too much money. And by the way, if I can prove that there is good reliability, dependability, I can expand further my sales, my sales circle. So that's number one thing I have to see: who the best, reliable and dependable logistics pipeline from those 100 ink makers. So if I decide to buy from him, this is number one information I must have for B2B. You know what that means, B2B in this case? Let me tell you what that means. The G8 now become G12, and they talk about how to integrate. This is what I'm talking about. I'm talking integration, I'm talking about rebalancing, but I'm discussing it on a very ground level. So number one is, we says, reliability, dependability of the logistics pipeline from their zip code, from the seller's zip code to the buyer's zip code. That's number one. Number two, once I decide to buy, I want to know, I need to go to my bank to ask my bank to finance me so I can buy the ink from the other side. So the bank, he need to know. We need to give him all the information to minimize the underwriter risk. In essence, the banks need to know, is that ink maker where the money gonna end up? He's been selling ink for a long time. Does he sell ink, and how long he's been in the business? Does he can send the product to where it's supposed to be arrived? So there is a lot of information required by my bank to facilitate and expedite my trade finance. So this is number two. So which we call it the probability of being financed if I decide to buy the product from that particular ink maker. That was number two. Number three is the integration. If I decide to buy from that one of these 100, how easy he is integrated in supply chain pipeline. Huh? Is it going to be, we going to discuss this just in time by fax and by emails? So, or it's easy to integrate in my supply chain. Integration, another factor. And fourth is the insurance cost. Is he usually ship many of his products and most of them are damaged? So it's important for the insurance also to have certain score about that particular seller for the ink. And the fifth and the last is moving the product. When I decide to move it, to put it on the logistics, pipelines and start moving it. Those 5 elements are important. That's why we say integrated 4-dimensional digital economy. Those 5 elements are important at the moment I'm evaluating my suppliers. So if those data available, imagine in that particular second moment, it would help me out a lot to decide from where to buy and how to ship from these 100. And that's a starting point, and that's real integration when we talk about SMEs. I'm not talking about product only, but I'm talking about service. And this is only tip of the icebergs when we talk about real B2B platform, and all of this at no cost to the SMEs of the world. So what we're talking about with the SMEs, we're talking about, number 1, reducing their cost on trade. Number 2, more exposure, global integration. Number 3, expedite their finance, trade finance. And number 4, even when they do it and they use the system, we have already worked with UNCDF a structure that we have a lot of grants to come from this initiative back to the SMEs under form of a grant, so because as a reward on his business excellence. So having said that, SMEs, somebody asked me in Indonesia when we started this initiative, it says, Captain, we do not have technology. You're talking about digital economy, you're talking about all of that. We do not have it. I said the following, and they very much appreciate it. What I said? I said, I want to take you back to like 10, 15 years ago. United States was way ahead of Indonesia in telecommunication. And then when digital telecommunication become available, Indonesia become way ahead of United States. Ahead of United States when talks about digital telecommunication. Why? Because United States, when they were ahead, they were using analog systems and copper wires and so forth, so on. Then when the digital antenna for telecommunication become available, the investors says, wait a minute, I just invest billions of dollars, so I cannot just drop those investments and switch to digital, where Indonesia was faster to adopt digital because they did not have infrastructure, and then they become digital faster, all of them, than United States. So let's apply the same on trade finance, on this integrated 4-dimensional digital economy. The bottom line is this. The bottom line is the SMEs of the world, that they do not have a system, they cannot afford a system. And just to give you an idea, even in, let me use an example, in Malaysia, 88% of trade participants in Malaysia have no system. Only 12 have the analog. So Malaysia is prompt to be quickly digital with the 88 that don't have a system. So that's what the reality is. And this talking to SMEs of the world and talking to the new economic power on the global arena, when we talk about the G12, the G8 and G12. G8, they have the analog, and will take a little bit maybe time, they can integrate, but will take a little bit time to switch to digital. But the G12 are quicker to adopt the digital, and then this is where can integrate with each other, and this is what they are aiming for, which is rebalancing the world economy and so forth, so on.